In the final episode of my Fertility Diaries series with Ferring, Neil will be answering some questions that you sent in for him via Instagram, so thank you very much for that. But before he does, I wanted to thank Ferring for the incredible opportunity to share our story with you in this way. The series documented our 5th IVF cycle, which was our first using an egg donor, and followed us through the many highs and lows that we experienced over several months. I hope that it has given you some comfort and solidarity if you're in a similar situation, maybe even encouraged you to consider donor conception, and if you're fortunate enough not to know this world, that it has given you some insight into the realities of IVF, finally falling pregnant after many years, miscarriage, and then grief. Thank you very much for watching.
I've actually had a pretty good life up until about 2016 when we started going through the process. It's been quite a vanilla life, easy upbringing, full family, loving family. Never had anything that I needed in life. Never went without anything that I needed in life. And so I've not had to deal with anything difficult that was that was out of my control. So when we started going through this process, it was a real challenge for me personally. I had to kind of realize that I had to develop ways of dealing with the situation where I wanted something so badly that we couldn't have it. It was out of our control. There was nothing that we could do. We were in the hands of the medical professionals, and so I personally had to deal with it, deal with the uncertainty, deal with the lack of control. The other thing that definitely helped me with was empathy. I think I probably lacked empathy at times, and I think this has really brought it home to me. I feel I'm much more empathetic now as an individual, having gone through what we've been through for the last 5 years. I do feel that there is another side of me that's probably been developed out of this, which is, I guess, a good thing. It's a sad thing that I had to go through such a thing to get to it, but it is something I feel I have developed. My opinion of this flip-flops a little bit. I don't think there's enough time in this format to kind of really go into my thoughts about this. There are definitely themes about particularly the way men are brought up, whereby we are not encouraged to talk about these kind of things. Whether that's a specific South Asian thing, that's I think where there's a lot of debate that needs to be had, could be had, sorry. If I look at myself specifically as a South Asian man, and only look at my upbringing, I'm not a typically South Asian man, I'm pretty anglicized. So therefore, I have influences from both the West and the East, but even then, it was something that part of my upbringing the only thing I can really talk about made it very difficult to initially talk about the challenges that I faced, the difficulties that I had when we were going through this process. Those who know me know I did not speak about this at all to anyone. And actually I reached a breaking point where I had to make a choice, because if I was going to be able to support Seetal, I needed to be in the right frame of mind. Otherwise, how was I going to be able to support her if I was in pieces as well? And so it forced me to start opening up about it, and it was a great thing. And obviously, I've taken a lot of inspiration in what Seetal has done as well. It was difficult for me at the beginning, but yeah, I don't know if I want to paint the whole South Asian community with the same brush. I think every community is nuanced in its own way, but I can talk from my experiences, and certainly from my upbringing, it has been difficult. I think opening up myself, being more comfortable myself in discussing it, being more willing to look at my own mental health challenges has definitely allowed me to support my wife better. I took the view that I'm going to be the soldier in all this and carry all the burdens of this away from Seetal as much as I could do, and it was a road to nowhere. It certainly for myself, and actually it brought anxiety in Seetal as well, because she could see that I was hurting and that I was struggling. Yet I wasn't willing to open up about it, so that would create anxiety for her as well. So ultimately, being able to support Seetal means being able to support myself, or be supported myself, and I think that was a big thing for me. After that, ultimately, it's about trying to be the pragmatist, trying to as much as possible think about things as rationally as I possibly can do to get the end result that we both want. Not to say that Seetal's an emotional person or anything like that. It's just it is so easy to get carried away in the emotions, and sometimes you need to make rational decisions. Sometimes you need to make emotional decisions. But that was one thing that I took as my responsibility, to ensure that we were trying at least to take the rational decisions in anything that we did. And the third thing shouldn't have to come out and be said, but to support Seetal, to be a couple, to be in it together, to make sure and understand that we are in it together. It doesn't matter whose biological fault it is or not. It's just irrelevant. We are a couple. We are going through this together. Recriminations and blaming people and all this kind of rubbish is just a road to nowhere. We're in it together, and our outcome is together, and that has always been my central philosophy in the process, in what we've been going through. Unfortunately, I feel this is a loaded question. I mean, why should there be recrimination? Why should there be loss of tenderness? Of course, in practical reality, we all go through these inflection points through the process where things can get too much for us. It's natural for the process we're going through, particularly when we're having all our downs. But there is no need to say, there is no eventuality about it. I took the view, and I've answered this in the previous question as well. I took the view, personally, that I was never going to look at this as a solitary individual's problem. This was our problem, together, to solve, to defeat, which is a terrible use of the word because it's not a battle, but anyway. And that has always been at the centre of my thinking. We are in this together. We are a couple. We will get this through this together, whether it's a positive or a negative. We will be a couple at the end of this, wherever the end of this journey may be. And we will hopefully spend the rest of our lives with each other. And so that is the centre of all of this for me. If those lives are enriched by having kids, then fantastic. That's what we want. But if they're not, then we still have so much love for each other and respect for each other that we can have a great life, And I think that's what keeps me going. That's what's most important to me. It's been hard. It's been hard because we both want the same thing, but physically to see what she's been through, particularly the last miscarriage, which was horrendous, has been very difficult. Of course it has been. I've just tried to be there, and actually a lot of these questions they flow into each other, don't they? What is the most important thing at the time is to provide the stability, the rock, the counterpoint, the comfort, the tenderness, the rationality, the whatever Seetal needs to get through the disappointments that we've been through, or the challenges that we've had to go through. What else can I say? It's been brutal. I guess that's why everyone has their limit. I guess how often can you get back up to have that fight every time we have a disappointment. how much can we steel ourselves to the next round? It's been brutal. But it's weird, and actually this has probably come a little bit more from Seetal's mouth than mine. I think it's brought us closer together. Not that I don't feel close to Seetal, of course I do. It's I've always felt close to Seetal, but I think her communicating that to me, I think it's true. I think it has brought us closer together as a couple. So I guess I have the view in life to try and see the silver lining in anything, because every experience teaches us something, and this is something that wherever we go, wherever this journey ends for us, it has been brutal and difficult and horrendous, and hope and then dashed hope and all of the trauma, physical and mental. But as a couple, we're kind of as strong as we've ever been, and that's really important. It's a really difficult question to give in one sentence. It's a kaleidoscope, isn't it? So, to use a terrible metaphor, it's like a roller coaster, isn't it? You got your ups and you got your downs, and what else is there to say other than that? It's brutal, isn't it, when you go through it? And as a man looking at what your wife goes through, there's a huge sense of helplessness. If all the treatments are on the wife's side, there's a huge amount of guilt that you can't take on some of that pain and some of that heavy lifting on their behalf, because you're the outsider looking at looking at what's going on, and just kind of sitting at the sidelines while everything happens to Seetal. And I don't want to go down a bit of a boohoo line with this, but all the focus and all the attention tends to be with Seetal as well. There aren't that many people who ask how I am, which is, I guess, natural and expected, because Seetal is going through all the treatments. But it is a little bit lonely as well. Ever since I was young, I had the typical pathway that you were brought up with to think is what is success. You go through university, you get a degree, get a job, get a house, get married, have kids. And that is kind of how I've kind of measured my success in life, is have I hit these points. And coming to the realization that there may be a future where we don't have kids in our lives, it's been really difficult to kind of resolve. Part of my struggles have been about these phases that I've been through, and I feel now at my age, 41, that I'm in that next phase where the next step was going to be kids. Where would my value come from? Where would my value to society come from? To have the joy of kids, to nurture, to develop, to teach, to love. And if we don't have kids, I guess I'm going to have to figure out, where am I going to get my value? Where am I going to find joy and value in my contribution to society? I'll be honest, right now, I don't know. I have no idea. All I know is that the challenge, the pain, the trauma of this failed cycles just started to accumulate to a point where I know we both are in the same, where we think the same. It's getting to the point where it's just too much. I don't know if I could handle seeing you go through what we went through in the last cycle. I don't know if I have the strength to sit there and hold your hand
well, you're in sheer pain on the floor, and I don't know if I can walk into a scan and be told there is no heartbeat. Again, I don't know how much further I can go with this, so we are going to have to figure it out. What does life look like after? Because at some point it will be too much, and we will have to try and find, where does that value come from? Where does that joy come from? But there will have to be an end, because I think we're both pretty close to it now.